Hello and welcome to our video on the corruption. This is the basic video. It's not going to be going over some spoiler-tastic stuff. The spoiler-tastic stuff is in a separate video that you can find on our channel. Today, we're just going to be focusing on basic corruption stuff, the stuff that your hunters should have a basic knowledge of or will soon gain the knowledge of relatively quickly when they start their journeys. So the corruption itself is a horrible disease that distorts your body and mind. At first, you might develop mood swings or something like that, but when symptoms really start developing, you'll grow like teeth and mouths out of your body. Bones will jut out of you and become strange limbs and whatnot. Um, and even your mind, like your mind distorts as well, where you get strange visions of odd realities, and uh, and you'll get false ideas of your friends and people you know until eventually you just can't take it anymore, and you'll either do horrible things to yourself or the people around you, and so it's generally not a good thing. Don't get infected, kids. It's not a great idea. Say no to corruption. Um, it also infects beasts. They're the ones who initially spreaded it, although it develops in them much slower than in humans. Nonetheless, they themselves can develop strange new limbs and whatnot, as well as even kind of evolve into greater creatures if certain things line up. Now, the sort of history of the corruption is that it's a relatively recent disease that developed about 10 years before the start of our adventure that we're releasing. And a whole bunch of towns fell to it, except in the city that you start in, Acanthus. Uh, they sort of managed to deal with it for the most part. They prevented a lot of corrupted creatures to come in, um, but they couldn't deal with it completely because for some reason, spontaneously, it seems like random people would develop the corruption, or at the very least be vectors for it. They would spread the corruption even though they'd be immune to it themselves. These are the people who would later be referred to as those who have the hunter's blood, aka the hunters that you eventually play. But back then, they were just, you know, not not exactly a good thing to have around because they just infected other people with the corruption. So eventually, someone managed to find a sort of cure. It at least cured the infectiousness of the corruption, where they'd replace the heart of the hunter, or the one with the hunter's blood, with an iron core, shove a whole bunch of healing potion extracted from lordroot extract, which is like we talked about lordroot in a separate video. They get horribly addicted to the lordroot potion, but let's not go into that. Um, uh, but it would allow them to grow their hearts, hopefully within the iron cage itself. Excuse me. Um, and and for some reason, the metal uh, helped impede the infectiousness of the corruption to the point where a lot of people don't think that the people who have gone through this ritual are actually infectious at all. It obviously doesn't work on normal people because even though it would curb their infectiousness, they're still infected with the corruption, so they'll still develop and go mad and all that sort of horrible stuff. Um, but those of the hunter's blood can essentially consume sources of concentrated corruption to mutate themselves in specific ways and gain corrupted strains of disciplines. Um, and However, they don't want to gain too much corruption. If they're given more than they can handle, they become abominations, which is actually, we've got one of them on this artwork to the side. That is the Collector. He is an abomination that formed out of many, many hands. And the man, well, used to be a man, now continuously obsesses over them and finds more and more hands for to collect and add to his body. He's a wonderful person. Great to go out to parties with. Um, But yeah, so the corruption is used by the hunters, but it still can ultimately distort you. Um, and that's basically the basics of the corruption. If you want to hear if you want to learn about the corrupted disciplines themselves, we've got a gameplay overview video. I mean, not a gameplay overview, a character creation and progression overview that quickly goes over that, as well as hopefully by the time this video is up, we will have the corrupted disciplines you can get themselves on our Google Drive or Google Doc rulebook that we uploaded. We've been having a lot of trouble formatting that. So sorry it's taken so long. Google Docs actually really doesn't like how large our Google Doc is at this point, and also how many images we have in it. And we don't even have that many images. So you know, we're doing the best we can. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and I'll talk to you later.